Hey everybody, Vino over back again with some more Katawa Shoujo. Let's get right into it, everybody. It seems the teacher's mission paid off. There are now over a dozen students helping, and much of the unpacking has been done. Despite most of them seeming quite relaxed as they work, Lily still appears to be somewhat stressed. Right, I know what I'll do. Even if it's just one person, I'll make the festival more enjoyable for her. As I place the bowl on the counter, I call out to Lily. Ah, Hisao, you brought it back? Yeah, here. I slide it into her hands, and she takes it over to someone who is apparently on cleaning duty. Considering that I didn't see them here before, it's probably a penalty for their tardiness. Hey, Lily. She perks up and returns to the counter as she hears my voice again, realizing that I'm still here. Want to go see some more of the festival? She puffs her cheeks disapprovingly. It looks kind of cute, and in complete contradiction to her usually reserved nature. It takes a few seconds for me to get what she's taking issue with. Whoops. I didn't mean to... Lily giggles at me, exposing her teasing for what it is. You're still not used to the school, are you? She got me. Still, I kind of need to stay with our stall. It's taken until just now to even get everything unpacked. I guess her reluctance shouldn't overly surprise me, considering how much work she's put into this. Everything seems to be running fine now, though. Besides, you've got extra help on hand anyway. A boy in the middle cooking some soba noodles turns towards us, grinning. Go on, Lils. You've earned yourself a break. We can hold down the fort for now. If you say it's okay, then I suppose so. But if you need any help, then we'll call you. Go on, we'll be fine. Lily finally gives up her resistance. As he waves a spatula at her, she feels her way around the back of the stall and picks up her cane on the way. I guess the first thing we should do is look for Hanako. Lily seems kind of worried about her, and I doubt she'd be the kind of person to enjoy milling about in crowds like this, all alone. So, I guess we should search for Hanako. Where to first? The both of us go quiet for a moment to think. Maybe she's in her dorm room. I doubt it. She doesn't keep too many things in there, so she'd have nothing to do. Ah, the library. As good a place as any to search for an avid reader, I suppose. The library it is. We'll check there first then. Aside from the muffled sounds of the crowd seeping in from outside, the inside of the school seems almost deserted. In order to make sure everyone had enough room, I guess all the events were organized to be held outside, on school grounds. They're definitely quite large, by any other school standards. It's nice and quiet in here, isn't it? Yeah, much nicer than the hustle and bustle outside. We take our time and slowly walk through the first floor of the school, eventually reaching the stairs to the second floor. I can't help but notice how Lily anticipates every door and obstacle, her cane remaining still and her hand skating along the hallway railings. You really know the school well, don't you? She smiles and nods straight ahead. I've been here for a few years now, so I know where everything is. The dorms still trip me up though, sometimes. I haven't been there as long, and they're not as well laid out as the main building. If I'm remembering right, they used to be unused buildings before renovated and used as dormitories. That explains why the male and female dorms look different from the outside, and why their rooms seemed kind of unusual for sleeping quarters. I'd assumed she'd been living in the dormitory since she began attending school, but now I'm reminded of what she said yesterday. That's right, you mentioned that before. I'd assumed that most of the students here lived in the dormitories once enrolled. A lot of them seem to, in any case. Lily's expression becomes somewhat harder to read, my questioning evidently touching on a delicate point. Well, how should I say? Everyone has their reasons. Something tells me that one of those with reasons is Hanako, hence her tiptoeing around the answer. My own predicament is yet another such case. I guess it's a choice everyone here would have to make for themselves, or in my instance, have made for them. It can't be helped, I suppose. At least, Yamaku itself seems like a nice place. It's good to hear you say that. I thought you were coming to dislike it. What about you, though? My reversal of Lily's statement takes her by surprise. I've been here for a while, so... It's not that. You just seem pretty depressed about Akira. What's with that look? Akira's taken. Sorry, Hisao. Oh! Lily never sees how fast my palm meets my face at her sly accusation. Hey, I was worried about you. That's no way to respond to concern. While she gives an amused grin, we round the corner of the hallway and enter the library. As we do so, it isn't hard to spot Hanako, considering that the room is completely devoid of anyone else. Given that there are no staff around, I guess there's no need to heed the usual library rules. I call out to her. Hey, Hanako! Hanako is here? As she hears our voices, Hanako's head flicks up from behind a book, probably the same one she'd been reading on Friday. Hisao? Lily? Just thought we'd drop by. Lily just managed to escape from the noodle stall with a little help. That wasn't really an escape. Hanako gives a small giggle, briefly surprising both of us. I just thought that Lily might not be enjoying the festival. Well, now we can enjoy it together, right? The two nod happily before we set out of the library and towards the festivities. I hand over some change to the girl behind the counter and take the 2 styrofoam cups of tea. I try to accentuate my bow a bit to cover for the fact that she's quite obviously deaf. Come to think of it, I probably should have asked for help instead of leaving those 2 in the gardens while I bought drinks. Trying to juggle the 2 cups of hot tea for them and a can of coffee for myself out of a vending machine isn't exactly easy. With some careful maneuvering, though, I manage to keep everything stable and upright as I walk over to the bench where Lily and Hanako are sitting and chatting. It's actually quite a nice place. Lit only by moonlight, it's tucked away some distance from the main events. Compared to how hot it had been during the day, this spot is also pleasantly cool by now. Not that it matters all that much. Most of the visitors have moved to the areas that are either closer to the fireworks or higher on the hill in order to view the display apparently planned. Welcome back, Hisao. Her ears are good. I'm not exactly close, and even Hanako hadn't noticed me. Here you go. Sorry it's instant, but that's all they had left by now. Hanako gingerly takes a cup from my right hand, and I gently place the other onto Lily's outstretched hands. Did you enjoy the festival then, Hisao? Yeah, it was pretty fun. An honest answer. Much of the food may have been somewhat subpar, but it was a lot of fun in the end, especially with Hanako and Lily. In fact, I think those 2 may have enjoyed themselves even more than I did. With both Lily and me around, much of Hanako's withdrawn nature around others died down enough for her to enjoy herself. As we sit drinking, the whistle of the first firework rings out before it explodes into a vibrant shower of blue against the night sky, heralding the beginning of the end for the festival. Enthusiastic shouts can be heard from the crowd scattered around the school grounds celebrating them. For minutes on end, Hanako and I watch the fireworks overhead, as Lily blissfully listens to them with her eyes shut. Red, green, yellow, star-shaped, circular, and patterned, and all manners of shapes and colors fill the air, one after the other, and dance across the sky. No place near where I lived put on such lavish displays. Festivals like this were a thing of the past in such a metropolitan area. To be seeing such a sight with these 2 is probably the happiest I've ever been in a while. So, that's it. The festival's finally ending. Yeah. She gives a delicate, wistful sigh. As much as I might complain about all the stuff we have to do, it's still sad that we'll have graduated before the next Yamaku festival. I walk forwards and stand beside Lily, gently resting a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, we still have Tanabata later in the year, right? You're right, it would be nice to go there when it comes. Minutes of silence pass, with only the blasts of the fireworks to be heard. Seeing these 2 reminds me of those words of advice Lily had given me as we walked into town together. Cherish the opportunity to make new friends, huh? Hey, Lily. She turns her head slightly to show that she's listening, Hanako's gaze still firmly fixed on the Technicolor fireworks bursting overhead. You mind if I join you 2 for tea every now and then? The smile on her face is more than enough to see her answer. It would be a pleasure, Hisao. Oh, okay. I forgot about these. Oh, this is the end of the first act. Now it gets into the actual girl's route. That first part was just you making choices that would make you end up with a certain person. Oh, dang. Oh, these are some hints, everybody. The game gives you little hints right here. Act 2, Past. Right in the middle, too. Right at 10 minutes. Very good. I wake up to the annoying din of my alarm clock, its bright red numerals lighting up my face. It's the same alarm clock I had at home, one of the few remaining artifacts from my days before coming to Yamaku. I had hoped that using it would ease my transition into this new life. No such luck, though. Groggily dragging myself out of bed, I wipe the sleep out of my eyes, then reach over to my desk. I open a couple of the bottles of medication strewn across it and swallow a few pills dry. By now, the process is starting to become automatic, something I should be glad for, given their purpose. Feeling much more awake than before, I wander into the bathroom. While the shower warms up, my mind begins to wander as my new daily routine begins once again. The bright colors of the fireworks fill my mind, as do the two girls with whom I spent my time watching them. It feels strange to be moved so much by people I know so little about. Then again, I suppose these aren't normal circumstances. At least I have someone to talk to now, aside from my schoolmate next door. With the time left before school begins today waning, I begin to get ready for class. Walking through the door into the classroom, I notice that I'm still somewhat early. I see about 5 or 6 students milling around, most of them looking as if they'd rather be in bed. It's at times like this that I appreciate being a morning person. That said, 2 students in particular seem just as perky as always. Hi Shizune, hi Misha. I suddenly realized that my greeting would be lost on the former, so I quickly followed up with a wave. She doesn't seem overly bothered. Or interested, for that matter. Hello, Hachan. Are you feeling well? I can only assume her greeting comes from Shizune. It's hard to tell if she's speaking as herself or Shizune sometimes. Better than most everyone else, I guess. You two seem bright and chipper. Misha signs this back to Shizune as I say it, eliciting a somewhat terse answer, if her sharp and rapid arm movements are any indication. Considering that these two made such a big deal out of the festival preparations, I probably should have chosen my words more carefully. Since you're a new student, we've been cutting you some slack. Please don't expect this kind of task dodging to be allowed in the future. Misha looks as if she's about to add her own comment, but quickly goes back to interpreting as Shizune continues, unabated. Why a contribution to Class 3-2 stall is appreciated. Huh? Word got around pretty quickly. That or these two have their fingers on the pulse of the school. We would prefer your efforts to be focused on the task at hand, namely your own class. As much as I hate to admit it, they do have a point. Before I can respond though, Shizune adds something more, which draws a smile from Misha. Did you enjoy the festival then? Lecture over, I guess. Yeah, it was good. Did you two enjoy it? Shizune gives a short nod as Misha grins and bounces her head up and down. The contrast, side by side, is amusing. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice more students starting to trickle into the classroom. A quick glance at my watch confirms that they're a few minutes late. I look over to Hanako's seat and realize that she's already there, and contentedly reading a book. It makes me wonder just how long she's been there without me noticing. With heavy footsteps coming up the hallway, signaling Muto's arrival, our idle talking comes to an end, and I take my seat next to Misha. As the door slides open, he strides through with a ponderous gait. His posture is even worse than usual, and his eyes are barely staying open. I guess my quip to Lilly and Hanako about the staff was misplaced. Everyone opens their books as he reaches his desk, and the first class of the new week begins. I rub my eyes as the lunch bell rings out, glad for the temporary reprieve from my work. I'm entirely surprised when I look over to the door and see Lilly standing there, cane in hand, patiently waiting for Hanako. Considering her acceptance of my request to join them yesterday, I decide to spend my lunchtime with them rather than eat alone. Hanako moves surprisingly fast to meet her companion, and the two enter the hallway before I can catch up. Lily's head turns slightly, registering the sound of footsteps behind her. As Hanako notices and follows her lead, she almost jumps in surprise.
Hisao? Hello, Hisao.
Hi, sorry if I startled you. Lily turns to greet me, helped in her orientation by Hanako.
Good afternoon, Hisao. Are you joining us?
If it's no trouble, there's not much else to do, really. Lily gives a small nod, as if to silently brush away any idea that it would be troubling in the least. We descend one set of stairs and walk down the hallway to the usual room. Our pace somewhat quicker than usual, thanks to Lily using Hanako for direction, rather than her cane and the railings. As expected, it's deserted. The sounds of the other clubs can only barely be heard as sunlight streams into the room from outside. Looking around the room, I notice a couple of empty easels propped up against the wall that I don't think were there before. The art club must use this room as extra storage.
Should I get the chess set out?
Hanako's voice seems less tense when she's directly addressing Lily.
Yeah, I'll make tea while you sort the pieces.
I can do that for you if you'd like. She ponders the offer for a moment before smiling, confirming that I've made the right choice. Her face is remarkably easy to read.
Very well, thank you.
She slides her retracted cane into the handle of her bag and sets it against one of the table legs before taking a seat opposite of Hanako. As I prepare tea for the three of us, I can hear those small wooden pieces being set on the board. I wonder how good Lily is at chess, given her circumstances. By the time I place the steaming teacups onto the table, Lily and Hanako have already moved their first pieces as they nibble on sandwiches and rice balls from their respective bags. I note that the chessboard they're using has holes in the middle of each square and pegs on the bottom of the pieces, and has each dark square slightly raised. Watching Lily's fingertips skating over the board, tracing out positions of the pieces, makes me marvel a little at the simple ingenuity of the design. It must be specifically made for blind players. Here you go. Hanako gives a small nod as I put down the cup next to her side of the board. Lily's hand ventures sideways slightly, so I gently place the cup touching the tips of her fingers, a gesture she seems to appreciate. I finally take a seat and silently sip my tea as the two play. The contrast in their appearances while playing is interesting to watch. Hanako looks closely at the board, her face one of focused concentration. Lily, on the other hand, keeps her head level and maintains her calm neutrality. Lily's gentle voice addresses both of us as she continues to play. How was class now that the festival's over? I look to Hanako to see whether she'll answer first, but see that she's doing the same. Not great. Half the class seemed to be dozing off, even including the teacher, not to mention the test on top of all that. Hanako quietly adds her own agreement with this.
I could imagine that being a bit difficult for you, being a transfer student.
Well, I think I did fine. Other than the shock of a test coming so early, science is probably my best subject. How'd you do, Hanako?
Me, okay, I guess.
Hanako's too sincere to be able to pull off lying very well. That much is obvious. Lily's smile dips very slightly. From her reaction, Hanako mustn't be skilled enough at academics to do very well without preparation. How did your class handle it, Lily? God damn it.
It went surprisingly well, actually. Only one student was absent, which was better than what the teacher expected.
With the topic all but run dry, the two concentrate on their chess game once again. I can't say I've ever liked the idea of chess as a spectator sport, but given its unique nature, for once I'm wrapped in watching the game unfold. As time wears on, both of them demonstrate decent skill at playing the game. Having captured two more pawns than Hanako, Lily has the upper hand, but only slightly. Until Hanako makes a strange move with her queen. Seizing upon this lapse in judgment, Lily takes a piece with her knight. Without hesitation, Hanako moves a pawn to take Lily's rook on the opposite side of the board and promotes it to queen. Lily's face falters as her fingers move over the pieces and she realizes that she just fell to Hanako's trap. It's a little distracting to have the board traced out after each move, even if it's out of necessity. Judging by Hanako's lack of reaction, she must be used to this. She and Lily must have played at least a few games of chess against each other after all. And that's the end of this episode of Katawa Shoujo. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you guys on the next one.